So, Matthew, why should we sneer at posh boys?
What I was trying to focus on in the piece I wrote in the Times is the function of a public school education, not so much as an education, but as a class signifier. And if, as I believe, a public school accent and the fact that someone has been to a public school is a class signifier, then I think it's important for employers to know. I find in my own life that when I discover, or guess, you usually can, that someone is a public school boy, I make a little marker in my mind that I mustn't assume that they're quite as clever or capable as they seem to be, that they may be more confident than their underlying abilities suggest. And I'd suggest that employers should make that same little marker in their mind.
But that's exactly what the government's proposing, not just the accents, but it wants to ask questions like, what postcode were you in at the age of 14? What was your father's profession? People should be judged only by their ability. It's for the education system to make sure that rich and poor are taken to the same level when they go to enter work. But when you enter work, the British feeling is that you play the hand you're dealt, and people should be judged by what they can do, not marked down for sins committed by their parents or whether their parents put them into private school when they were 5 years old. Now, the trick is to get your kids into one of these brilliant state schools where you can get a world-class education for free, except it's not really for free because you need to buy a house in the catchment area. This is the true source of inequality. It's not the state-private divide. It's the fact that within the state system, which educates 93% of British children, you have got a system where the poor are getting the worst results and the rich are getting the best results.
Do you think it would be hypocritical for those involved in devising this policy to send their own children to private schools?
I couldn't really criticise anyone for doing it.
But you would criticise applicants for having been to private school.
What I would try to do is bring social pressure to bear such that such parents would no longer think that they would necessarily be giving their child an advantage in 2030 or whenever it will be by having been to Eton.
But by bringing social pressure to bear, this is a favourite theme of this government, you mean using discrimination and bigotry as tools?
Yes, I do. I don't mean bigotry, but that's why I used the word sneer in the column that I wrote for the Times. I think we ought to mock upper-class people who try to entrench their privilege by sending their children to posh public schools. I think it's a legitimate form of public satire and public mockery and actually serves a useful social purpose.